Well, there is a new Mrs. Brown cast, there's a new director, but everybody's favourite marmalade-loving little cute bear is back in Paddington in Peru, or as some are calling it, Paddington 3. Let's take a look a little deeper. So Paddington is back in Paddington in Peru. Now, this is the first Paddington film I've got to see at the cinema. I was very late on the whole Paddington bandwagon and the world was loving Paddington and going crazy about him. I saw the first one on Blu-ray and then only recently did I see the second one, which was so overhyped. Now, I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was really magical and charming. I certainly enjoyed the second one, but I didn't love it like everyone was saying. For the reviews, it was the Terminator 2 Judgment Day, The Empire Strikes Back, Godfather Part 2 of the Paddington trilogy, well, which is now a trilogy. And that's what the hype was saying about it. I didn't mind it. I thought it was good. I certainly thought that Hugh Grant brought a lot of fun and flair to it. So, a lot of people thought Paddington in Peru had a lot to live up to. Me, not so much. Even though I enjoyed the sequel, I was ready to see Paddington get out of London. I really wanted to see him in Peru, or at least overseas. And I thought, well, jungle, and this is where Paddington comes from, so why not? So in Paddington 3, it's quite a simple story. Paddington, who has finally got his British passport, he travels off to Peru because he receives a letter from a mischievous nun played by the wonderful Olivia Colman, who sends Paddington the letter saying that Aunt Lucy really needs him. She's not quite the same. She needs him to go and visit. So the whole Brown family get up with Paddington and they head to Peru. Once they get there, they discover that Aunt Lucy has actually gone missing. And there are a few, though this is spoiler free, there are a few little lies and inconsistencies told to Paddington. But Paddington is determined to go and find his Aunt Lucy. On the way, lots of hijinks happen, including a wonderful boat scene where Jonathan Cabot, who's a bit of an adventurer and a boat captain played by the wonderful Antonio Banderas, takes the Brown family onto his boat and they go searching for Aunt Lucy. And everything that can go wrong and go crazy kind of does, and the family gets separated and split up. Paddington ends up on his own little adventure, but everything meets up in the end. Now, is this film any good? Well, yes, it is. And I believe that it's still worth going to see this film in the cinema because children are going to find this charming. I think a lot of older audiences will also find the film charming. Now, as I've always said on this channel, film is very subjective. But when you look at probably the script structure and the humour, I would say, to be honest, that it does fall a little bit flat compared to the first two films. This script is not as tight. Now, Paul King, who wrote and directed the original two, he is credited here with a story credit. He's also an executive producer on the film, but he didn't write the screenplay and he didn't direct the film. Directing duties went to first-time filmmaker Dougal Wilson, who's taking on a massive challenge in his first film. Now, I don't think this film has the same great shot composition as Paul King showed us in the first two Paddington films. It's a little bit flat, and I think also some of the performances, especially from Hugh Bonneville as Mr. Brown, is sometimes just a little bit flat, where it could be lifted up a little bit, I think, through the direction to the actor. Now, Emily Mortimer comes in and she plays Mrs. Brown, replacing Sally Jenkins, who, there's nothing nefarious behind this guy. Sally Jenkins just decided it was time to move on. Maybe she read the script for Paddington 3 and it didn't quite gel with her. Maybe she only wanted to work with Paul King, who knows, but she also said that she was very happy that Emily Mortimer got the role of Mrs. Brown, and she's fine. Is she as quirky and whimsical as Sally Hawkins? No, she's not. She's more, a little bit kind of generic, but I think she's actually got a really nice chemistry with Hugh Bonneville as Mr. Brown. However, I couldn't help when I'm watching the film thinking, these two look like they could pass for brother and sister, and here they are playing husband and wife. But anyway, maybe I'm just weird. Now, where I think Paddington 3 lets itself down a little bit is, I think there was an opportunity here for a side story where we see that, Paddington loves his Aunt Lucy and he's got a great relationship there, and that's done so well in the film. I would have loved to have seen a side story maybe with Mr. Brown and his son, because I think the children in this film are kind of lost. They're kind of really lost to the background of the film, and I think maybe a story where the son is a little jealous maybe of how Mr. Brown sees Paddington and maybe how he put so much time into Paddington. Maybe there could be a side story there where they rediscover their father-son relationship, and then the son gets closer to Paddington by realizing that, Paddington never meant to come in between those two. Just something a little bit more there that would involve the children. Or it could be done the other way, or it could be done with something more about the relationship with the daughter and the mother. But I just wanted to see more of a family connection there and something about them. Now, overall, another little gripe of the film is I felt the humour wasn't as pronounced as in especially the last film. It was a little bit kind of, some jokes fell a bit flat, but overall you can't help but not love the charm of Ben Whishaw as the voice of Paddington. And I think Ben Whishaw gives his everything. He goes along with the script and he puts his heart and soul into the voice work. And look, he is the heart and soul. Ben Whishaw is the heart and soul of Paddington. The colour's beautiful, the score's fine, the cinematography all kind of works, but like I said, I'd like to have seen a little bit maybe sharper movement, a little bit more pacing within the film. But the highlight for me is definitely Olivia Colman as the naughty nun. She's hilarious every time she smiles. Now, I don't know if she's wearing fake teeth or not, but every time she smiled, I just could not help but laugh. Pretty much every time she opened her mouth, I was laughing. So I would love to see Olivia Colman come back in Paddington 4. And I think Paddington 4 should take place, I think it should be titled Paddington Goes to America. I would love to see Paddington in America. We've done London in 1 and 2. We've now done Peru. So people are kind of calling for it. Oh, yeah, well, the 4th one, he'll go back to London. But why? Paddington, the key thing about Paddington is his manners. And he's so polite and he's so friendly and he wants to be loved. What could be funnier than seeing Paddington in New York crossing traffic with cabbies going, yo, what you doing here? And then maybe it's a bit of a surprise have Paddington turn around and say, yo, I'm crossing here, something like that. Bring a little bit of humour into it. Obviously show his gentlemanly thing, like, oh, sorry. And then by the end of maybe Paddington 4, he can be going, yo, I'm crossing here.
Please, Mr. Gruber, be serious.
I want to see something like that. I want to see Paddington scoffing down maybe marmalade on pizza, or going to the Grand Canyon and flying across it with his umbrella. So yeah, I just want to see something a little bit different for Paddington 4, and I think America would be a fantastic idea for Paddington, or even Paddington in Australia. But why just keep him in England? We've been there, we've done that, so I'm at least glad in this 3rd one that they've taken him out of England. Now, people are saying, oh, this isn't the strongest film in the trilogy, blah, blah, blah. But I think in time, if it is just a trilogy, which I doubt that very much, because I'm sure the film is going to make some nice little bit of coin and they're going to want to do a 4th. And hey, maybe Paul King will come back to it. But if they do, yeah, I would like to see them again do something to get out of England and show Paddington his personality in different environments. So I think that would be awesome. Well, guys, overall, I did enjoy the film. I do urge people to go and see it in the cinema. I can't stand streaming. I can't stand the idea of streaming. It is killing off physical hard media. It's going to kill off the cinemas if we don't go and support films like this at the cinema, and even independent films. But please get out there, support Paddington at the cinema. It is a good fun view. Is it as good as the other two? No, maybe not, but it's still good. And also, Antonio Banderas brings a lot of humour to the film, and I think it's worth seeing at the cinema just to see Antonio Banderas. Well guys, I'm going to give Paddington in Peru a B. A solid, well-deserved B, and I can't wait to see Paddington 4, hopefully, in America. Till next time guys, like, share, subscribe, and keep looking deeper into films.
Hey! I'm walking here! I'm walking here!